Hello, everybody. Let's wait a few more seconds for the folks in the back to settle down, and I think we could start. So, hello, guys. I'm Pawel Sucholbiak, and today we'll be talking a bit about social engineering. So, right, on top of all of the technical issues, we have now a clicker issue, but that's not a big deal. So I'm a Pawel Sucholbiak. I'm a lead software test automation engineer in EPAM Systems. I'm always thinking about food and improvements. Improvements and food, I'm not sure which one should come first. I'm also a bit of a sporty guy. All right, so a small disclaimer. This presentation is intended solely for educational purposes. Some actions or methods described here might be illegal without proper authorization and could result in serious legal actions. So example shares are to raise awareness, improve security, not to encourage unethical behavior. So always act ethically, follow applicable laws, and ensure that you have proper authorization. All right, so I'm a tester, right? I have few superpowers. First of those is actually I break stuff, right? Second one is I ask seemingly stupid questions. And then if no one really sees, I'm breaking stuff again. And then people tend to ask me stupid questions. So on top of it, I'm also a catastrophist. I came up with all of the last resort black scenarios you can think of. The problem is that at my project at work, we already have enough of those problems. So I tend to switch my interest into some more common areas. So I decided that maybe I'll take a look into the people and how I could break those. Right. So, is it actually interesting? I don't know, but I would like to show you some of the clues. So, have you heard of Ubiquiti losing $40 million in 2015? Have you heard about the Facebook and Google losing almost 100 million. So in terms of Ubiquiti, someone impersonated CEO and asked the financial team, hey, guys, we need to hire this amount of money from here to there, do it. With Facebook and Google, it's like, the guy actually came up with a nice scheme. He invented, or actually initiated the scheme with trying to pretend to be a company, like a vendor. He set up fake contacts, fake emails, fake invoices, and then send them to companies. And what the financial guys do? They pay invoices, right? So that similar thing came with to Yahoo in 2014, 500 million accounts compromised. JP Morgan, 83 million account data. In here, passwords leaked, and then there was no second factor authentication. Creeland Bank, 76 million. Toyota Boshu Corp. Puerto Rico government, almost 3 million public funds, yay. Carabank, and this is actually a huge one because there is like a cybercrime group that attacked more than 100 different financial institutions in more than 30 countries and worked over a few years. And the cherry on the top, US Department of Homeland Security. So they lost, or the attackers got hands on the contact information of 9,000 Department of Homeland Security folks. On top of it, about data for 20,000 FBI employees. Officials were stating that, oh, it's not like a very serious data, right? They know names, addresses, positions, geographical locations. Yeah, whoopsie. All right, so all of those things, they have one thing in common, social engineering. In most of the cases, the social engineering was either the start of the catalysator of the whole actions. So let's take a look at what the social engineering is. You guys, are we familiar with social engineering? Okay. So Christopher Hadnagy is a world-class expert about social engineering and cybersecurity. He has a very open definition of it. And generally, it's not something that it might be very easy to explain to a normal folks. So what I like to address when I'm speaking about social engineering is Let's imagine we have a super secure door with all of the shiny bolts, knuckles, lockers, and there's a voice recognition system, iris scanner, right? And then maybe instead of breaking it, I'll just knock and say, hey, that's me. Or I would come up with a pizza guy. So where the social engineering actually kicks in is the fact that I know that behind those closed doors, there's a security guy that for some reason skipped lunch. He's a super fan of a pizza, especially when he smells tuna, he goes crazy. On top of it, from the technical documentation, I know that the air circulation next to the lobby is super cool, and my pizza would be, the smell of it would flow there. All right, so in that case, maybe we won't be able to break into, but whenever there is a system that either people are using or are dependent, there's always like emergency exit or emergency entry. So even if the security guy won't be able to help us to get in, he will tell us, hey, just press the door handle 3 times, rattle it for 3 seconds, and then you enter emergency mode, and then you can just enter it. So social engineering is based on human weaknesses, but it also is based on all of the technologies and all of the technical advantages that we have. It's just with those additional technologies, we span even more possibilities for attacks. So let's actually look into the reasons why we actually might get attacked. So first of all, of course, it's a financial gain, right? Then we have data theft. That corresponds to financial, but not in most cases. So ideological belief, politicians, geopolitical reasons, that's all you name it. Espionage and the warfare, it's becoming more and more prominent these days. And also we have all sorts of personal reasons, like someone is feeling grief, or like to have a challenge, or like to prove something to someone. And that leads us to our usual targets. Like I like to divide those systems into 2 main categories, like the system that hold the data and the system that can perform some operation. And on top of it, we have C-suites, so all of the CEOs, CFOs, all of the people that have sometimes too much power. And also high net worths. And actually, it's a very interesting point, because at a certain point, I'm not sure exactly where, there is a barrier between high net worth, and ultra high net worth. At a certain point, people get not enough money to actually secure themselves enough to be secure from most of the attacks. Also, another category, I'm not sure if it's fun or sad, that are politicians. Some of them are very conscious about the security, others not really. So if you like to read some fun facts, I would say go for the politicians. Another thing is the content creators. Like they have so much publicity, and imagine how much time it takes for the content creator between getting attacked and attacker publishing something, some content, and then how much time it takes the content creator to get the control back of the channel or the medium that they're using. And of course, journalists, they have access to information that we can not even think of. All right. But then, what if you look beyond the first layer of attacks? Like, what would you think about extra targets? Like, we are not really considering the HR like a potential targets, but they do own our data, basically. And in some cases, there is no division between, oh, this is actually this person from HR team is responsible only for this branch. In most cases, every HR person has an access to all of the data for our employees. Also, we have IT staff, starting from IT directors, managers. They have too many things to overlook, too many things to manage, and they don't really have time to go into nitty-gritty details. Also, support, like first level support, second level support, they are overwhelmed constantly. On top of it, developer teams, right? They will always like to help each other out, because you never know from whom you might need to get help next time. And also we have a fun category of new or untrained employees. Either you have new joiners that like to behave like veterans, and they will pretend that they know everything. They will give you access without any clues. And on the other side, you have untrained people that if you push enough IT jargon into them, they will be very submissive. So there's another point I'm liking to call targeting nodes. So maybe I'm secure enough, I'm feeling secure enough, but am I considering that I might get attacked from different perspective? Like maybe from my family, someone actually attacks my family member, then pretending, the attacker pretending to be a family member attacks me in order to get hold of my company, or maybe even my company client, even better. So let's think of one of those examples. Let's actually take a look in the payroll system. Like let's imagine the attacker got access to mailing system, and he is able to inquire some data about payroll system. So the first thing the people will do, they will most likely contact HR. Hey, and we have this fake employee, so we can actually send in someone's behalf the email to HR. Hey, actually, I've seen there's a new promo for a new bank account with better interest rates. I'm just wondering what I need to do to change my bank account. And then we got like a very brief instructions from HR. We need to do this and this and that. And then this scheme continues, because then your attacker is pretending to be a manager. Hey, HR team, some of the members of my unit actually, they were ready to change account, and we need to work a bit more on how to simplify this whole process, because I don't think it's as secure that we just send bank account numbers through emails, right? So gather some thoughts, get back to me with information, and what the HR team does, they will actually go out and to ask finance. The legitimate HR team will go ask a finance team, and this finance team will actually go to payment vendor and trying to figure out what's the best option. And now, when this information flows back to the attacker through semi-legit sources, then the attacker knows a bit more. So with after few steps, they could actually directly go into the payroll system. Shady, isn't it? So is it actually possible then? In fact, that's something that already happened to city of Tallahassee. So in 2019, someone infiltrated the HR system, and then the result, the third-party payroll system got attacked. So almost 500,000 got diverted. The good thing is that after some months, they retrieved 80% of it. But generally, detection is very funny, because people started noticing that they don't have the payroll on their bank account. At the same time, bank discovered, hey, actually, there is something fishy going on. But that was already too late. So in most cases, we wonder how it all starts. So let's actually take a look into the vectors, how it all could start. So we have this huge map of everything. So most likely you know most of the stuff. So with phishing emails, those are basically a massive amount of emails that are being sent, and there is very little effort put into it. On the other side of it, we have a spear phishing attacks, where actually there might not even be a link. There is actually an element from entire scenario of things going on. Then we have phishing. So people got a bit aware of the phishing. Now attackers are starting to call us and stating, oh, Mr. Sucholbiak, I think we might need to update your data regarding the tax declaration that you did 2 weeks ago. And then you're, of course, in the panic mode, because they will call, especially during like your lunchtime or during their meeting, in order to spice things up. Another thing is that we have video calls scams, where there's actually deep fake of person that impersonates a CEO, for example. And it's actually a very dangerous system, because imagine yourself, like if you're being called by a CEO, and then there you're telling your CEO, hey, you actually look funny today. Are you feeling all right? And then it's like, no, I don't trust you. And then then there's very awkward silence, or at least there should be awkward silence. But overall, this is super crazy. And we have traditional email, or traditional mail. I'm getting a ton of like literal physical mail with all of sorts of donations and QR codes for the bank payments. I'm not reacting to those at all, but I have a sense that most of them are actually scams. Impersonation is actually true hardcore act, where actually someone dress up as, for example, the technical guy or maintenance guy goes into your office and would like to test all of the fire detectors. But instead of focusing on fire detectors that go directly to the server, they need to start there, right? And something that emerges recently is that we have QR code, or that there is a strange name, quishing. Not sure if it's even the proper name. Last year in Zurich, in tram, I've noticed that there were a lot of stickers with QR codes. For my strange brain, oh, attack. But then it turns out it was very innocent because someone was trying to advertise their music in the Spotify. But basically the pattern is exactly the same. You're out of interest, you open the link, and by this occasion I was redirected to Spotify. And of course we have adverts. So the things that are being advertised on top of our search results in our social medias. And there are problems with those organizations to filter out the proper content. All right, let's take a look into techniques. What the bad guys are really doing. So first of all, they need to gather information. And we have 3 sections. From non-technical, we have something like dumpster diving. It might be super funny. I mean, I've seen a couple of people laughing, but then take into consideration that looking through someone else's trash, you might reveal, okay, what kind of vendor you're using, what kind of packaging you're used to getting, to whom the packages are being addressed. Are they stripped? No. What kind of, basically you're collecting metadata. You don't care about the package in the content. You're just interested about the metadata about the packages. Also tailgating. You know, if the person is going Monday, Wednesday, Friday to the gym, Tuesday and Thursday to the office, you know their routine. You can actually plan in advance when to call them and ask very strange questions, right? To increase this kind of a stress level. And one other thing, shoulder surfing. That happened to me yesterday. I was actually watching one other guy in a plane trying to make up a presentation. I know that the guy name is Alan, and he's most likely working with Richard. The guy was trying to figure out how to do the presentation. I know their company, and most likely I will be able to figure out then where exactly he works, in which branch, then what he was doing or what he was planning to do in Oslo. And also, I could, as a part of the next step, OSINT. Actually, do you know, guys, what the OSINT means? No? It's the open source intelligence. So using this guy as an example, I know his first name. I know in which company he works. I know that more or less either 2 branches are being involved, either Zurich or Oslo. And then on LinkedIn, I could actually try to figure out what his last name is. Then using his first name, last name, and the company he's working, I could figure out what's the pattern between first name, last name. Whoa. Okay. If it's not a security alarm, fire drill? No? Okay, that's cool. Tests are always good. Okay, so the OSINT in this case would be actually using all of the information I can gather about this guy. Maybe he's actually a sports fan. Maybe he signed up for a race. So let's imagine that I know his first name, last name, and then I know that he's a runner. So maybe I'll just try to look for his participation in some runs. Innocent, right? But then if I look up the race, I could actually get his bib number. And then with bib number, I could also check on which category age he is. And also confirmed on the images that the organizers of the runs are taking, how he exactly looks and how fit he is. And the next part is actually psychological. There's a technique called elicitation, about asking questions, and let's jump into it. So according to Erdal Oskaya, the elicitation is the act of drawing someone out using logic. And I also have a nice quote from NSA that I couldn't confirm. Everyone is quoting NSA, but NSA was silent about it. But nevertheless, it's a subtle act of extraction information during the apparent normal and innocent conversation, right? So here, let me see if I can play you a nice video about it. All it's there.
Cybersecurity today and how safe people's passwords are. What is one of your online passwords currently?
It is my dog's name and the year I graduated from high school.
Oh, what kind of dog do you have?
I have a Chihuahua Papillon,
And what's its name?
Jameson.
Jameson. And where'd you go to school?
I went to school back in Greensburg, Pennsylvania.
What school?
Hempfield Area Senior High School
Oh, when did you graduate?
in 2009.
I mean, it's funny, right? It's funny. It's like we, on the separate context, we can actually grab the entire conversation and dissect it and say, oh, it's like, oh, come on, what's a moron? But then imagine that you're not expecting on the live television we ask such details. And in most cases, there are some things that are contributing to the fact that we like to show off from the best perspective. We would like to be seen as knowledgeable and answer all the questions the best we can. I'm not really sure if that person is real. Was it the actress or was it the whole thing? It's about it's from the Jimmy Kimmel show. I'm pretty secure or feeling pretty secure about showing this because it's already 9 years old, and by the time they should already change the password. If you would like to see more of it, and there is a lot more of it, I have a QR code here. Let me just go back to the presentation. Yeah. All right. Surprisingly, there is even a guy that spells out his password. Don't ask me why. All right, so with elicitation, we have different professions are using the same techniques, right? We might have doctors, therapists, police officers, interviewers, lawyers, criminals, con artists, every sort of role that there is. The catch is about the context and how they are actually approaching the questions. Like, let's imagine that we have 3 roles asking the same question. Could you explain that in more detail? For the interviewer, I'll brag about everything, just to show off how great am I, how great I could create an environment I work in. When I'm speaking to a therapist, I might be a bit more reserved. I know they would like to help me, but still, it's my privacy, right? On the other hand, with police, I'll respond with minimal information that can get me further. And on top of it, we have some general rules, like building a rapport. This is actually a very strange word, but in reality, it's about creating a nice relationship. Like if you're smiling to someone or you're listening to them, nodding the head, you create this relationship when someone is actually feeling that someone is listening to them. Also being natural. Like if you're trying to keep the conversation going, like adding those, what about? And then like you're trying to keep the conversation flowing. It's something you might actually understand when you're speaking with a person that is not really interested in speaking to you. They're sending totally opposite signals. Also, you must be knowledgeable, or attacker must be knowledgeable. Even though you're pretending, oh, I'm a newbie, I would like to fetch the information from you and I'll act as a newbie, you'll still need to know tiny bits of details about what to ask, what actually makes sense, to not contradict your current knowledge level. Also, attackers are trying to avoid greed. Because at a certain point, if they're asking too many questions, it raises attention. So like there's like a flip switch. Is that guy asking too many questions? Maybe. Let's see where their conversation is going, but I'll keep an eye on him. And another is that attackers are trying to match nonverbal clues. Like if they're bored, they will basically try to cross their hands, lay it back a bit, or try to pretend they're not yawning in front of you. But in other cases, when there are mixed clues, you're subconsciously you're starting noticing, hey, there's something not right, and you, instead of on the conversation, you're focusing on the other person, how that person is behaving. All right, and we have a small example of elicitation. So let me actually clue out the rules and the techniques they're using. Some of those that might not be that obvious, for example, is the second from the left on the top, sounds broad. That means that the people have a tendency to speak about their achievements or their the things that are going bad. Like I'm Polish, and I could basically complain all day long. I do it naturally. Also, bracketing. So it's the upper right. It's about getting more details, or we have a general concept about the thing, and we would like to get more into details of it. Exactly know how much of the things or where exactly the things are located. Then we might actually ask very different question. Okay, so let me read it out very quickly. So this is actually in the space of a conference, and one attacker is approaching seemingly unknowing conference attendee known as a target. Hi, do you like the lecture? Attacker asked in a friendly tone before hesitating. Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be bothering you. No worries, you aren't bothering me, the target replied casually. It was fine, actually. Few new ideas came to my mind during the presentation. That's great to hear, the attacker remarked before adding. You know, I actually read in an article the other day written by some guy. I think his name was John Doe. The target face lit up with recognition. Oh, actually, I worked with him, he replied enthusiastically. Wow, that's really great, the attacker said, pretending to be impressed. John mentioned his team in the article, and I imagine you must be a part of that incredible team. You guys must be doing amazing work. Your projects sound very fantastic, and the team seems to be wonderful. The target smiled modestly, but was eager to engage. They began speaking at length about their team and the great collaboration they shared. Oh, I believe it's not all that great, the target eventually admitted with a small sigh. We constantly dealing with technical debt. Our client keep demanding more features ASAP, and sometimes can't understand our limitation. It's a constant struggle trying to squeeze in technical improvements. Honestly, we've got a ton of features in production that aren't fully tested yet. The target nodded, sorry. At least you're working with some nice technologies, attacker interjected smoothly, laying the trap. The target nodded, their tone now more enthusiastic. Oh yes, we are started using Snorlax QL for monitoring. It's so lazy by design. It only queries the stuff when it really has to. And we've gone fully containerized using Skrittle stack. It's pretty cool, encapsulates everything into small, tiny pods. That sounds amazing, the attacker said eagerly, feeding into their pride. You guys really seem to have everything figured out. I wish we had someone like you on our team. It must be so easy for you to manage all of that. The target shook their hand, starting to feel more comfortable sharing. Actually, we still struggle with some security side of this module. It's not that smooth as I would like. The attacker smiled knowingly. But that's security fault. Can it be too bad, right? I mean, how could anyone else even exploit it anyway? The target hesitated for a moment, but then leaned in slightly. Oh, actually, it wouldn't be that hard, they admitted. You just need to, and then target outlined the general idea, explained more than they probably intended. Yeah, but even then, you would need direct access to the server, right? The attacker inquired skeptically. You must have like thousands of servers anyway, so it wouldn't matter much. The target laughed a bit. Not really, we have only 3, one in each office that we work out of. Oh, that's interesting. The hacker reached out into her pocket and handed over a business card. Here, take my card. I would love to connect and maybe bounce some ideas. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have a business card with me, the target replied apologetically. No worries, the attacker said rationally. Just scan the QR code, my card. It will take you to my website. Go ahead, do it now. There's another talk starting in a few minutes, and I don't want you to forget. The target shrugged and pulled out their phone. They scanned the QR code, which opened the web page. Clicking on the provide LinkedIn link, they suddenly noticed something downloading onto their device. They frowned upon in confusion. The attacker find surprised, leaning closer. Oh, I'm sorry, you've just downloaded my CV, they said with an embarrassing smile. I'm trying to figure out how to best optimize my page for mobile. I hope that doesn't cause any trouble, right? So this is actually the conversation that might happen today, might happen tomorrow, might happen in a few weeks. But generally, the scheme is very similar. Like, people are trying to pull out the information from us, especially when we try to brag, hey, I'm great at this and that. And at a certain point, before we'll know it, there is some action that, oh, it's like, okay, let me do that, right? That the manipulation trick is kicking in. So in here, we know that they have untested features on production. They have problems with security. They have 3 servers and one in each office. With a bit of OSINT, we can actually figure out where exactly and how the buildings are looking like. So attacker also built enough trust to get the mobile infected. So he knows a bit more about it. Right, so with Elicitation, there is a super nice video from Charles Hicks. He was working 20 years in the Navy, explaining in more details those techniques, but we don't have time for it now, sorry. Another point, it's the pretexting. So pretexting is actually a very strange word, but that means that we actually coming up with some sort of scenario. In pretexting, in social engineering, this scenario actually consists of 2 things. We have actual situation, pizza delivery, and also we have character, a pizza boy or pizza delivery guy. And there are some also rules how those 2 things they need to combine with each other. So as in acting, there needs to be a full immersion. Like it will be very strange for the pizza boy to answer the phone and start discussing the wire transfer or the amount of shares that they bought recently on the stock. It might be a bit off-putting, or if they would be using a Mercedes instead of a scooter. Also, the scenario needs to match. Like if the doctor is calling us and telling us, hey, we have results from your last medication, and then they're asking you, hey, what kind of phone are you using? This is actually not matching with the whole scheme of things. And also they need to be knowledgeable. Like with this doctor, if we ask, hey, your name sounds familiar, and the doctor needs to actually ask where they were practicing, how many years of experience they have, where their main office is. So everything needs to be lined up and fits correctly. There are also many different combinations of actor or character and scenario. So with C-suits, it's the authorized payment. It's the simplest way to get the money out of the company. With doctor, there might be a family emergency. IT support, I think the list should be way more longer. There are so many things that could go wrong there. On the other hand, with the family member distress, we actually in Poland we had a lot of cases about there was a grandma case that someone pretending to be a grandson was calling the granny and asking, hey granny, I need money, I got arrested. And you need to actually put the money into the bag and just throw it out the window. I'll send someone in to collect it. The interesting thing is that the media actually put a lot of noise about those cases, and the attackers get one way ahead of it. There was actually a phone call from the policeman to be said about, hey, Mr. Smith, we are actually conducting investigation, and we'll know that the attacker will contact you. So we are tracking the case. Please follow the instructions of attacker. We have a team. They will catch them, right? Yeah, and then there was no contact. And as you can imagine, the whole situation was just one step, like the onion. There was one additional layer put on top of it, nothing else. So going back to the manipulation and persuasion, like with the QR code and the guy that was actually scanning the LinkedIn link, right? In most cases, people tend to totally forget about, hey, that there is some action that I'm forced to do, but I'm not really willing to. But then it's like a final blow, final state, like almost with this the guy that plays the flute and tries to put some magical spell on the snake. People also feel to act that way, that we're not sure why, but we do things because that's how the things are doing, right? And then after a while, we discover, oh, actually, I shouldn't be doing that, right? And using those human weaknesses, we have a lot more real-life scenarios. I'll show you a few of human weaknesses. We have only few. No worries, no pressure. And the list is not concluding everything. It's just categorized by main groups. But then, if we, for example, look at one of those weaknesses, so filling credentials, How many of you opened a website that you were sure that you've already logged into, but still something happened and you need to provide your details once again? Right? At least few. Okay. And for example, the password manager in my browser doesn't work. I need to type it by hand or use the different password manager. It's like, oh, come on. It's like, how bad it is. I have a second factor. My phone will start blipping that there is a new message. I'll provide this message. But in time, we actually might be using this fake facade that someone is building the website that looks like a storage provider. And then they're just passing our data to the actual website. And we also got a notification on my phone, hey, there was an attempt to add a new device. It's like, yeah, it was me. But in reality, someone else's phone was added during that time. Another thing is the breaches. Once I remember I got a very nice set of emails that living in Zurich, someone from California was trying to log into my account 40 times, 4 a.m. I got white as a wall. I started shaking, started checking if I still have access to everything I have. That was actually the real attempt, and then one of the email providers was actually blocking the access. But then if on that moment someone actually called me and say, hey, Mr. Sucholbiak, we would like to make sure that you is you, and we need to verify your data in order to get you back on track with your account, I would fall for that easily. Another thing is about the block cards. Recently on vacation, actually not that recently, I got a very nice text message from my credit card provider. It seemed so fake. And especially the text message was coming from the blocked number. So I wouldn't be able to even see who sent me this text. And of course, they picked the right moment. I was somewhere. And with the OSINT, you actually can easily figure out where I was looking at this picture, right? And of course, in the message itself is like, alternatively, if you don't want to call on the provided number, just look back at your credit card. Like, no one does that really, right? If you have a problem with the credit card, you Google online what is the number for your credit card provider. Okay, another weaknesses. Reaching out for help and this crying kid. Like, there is some lady in distress that tries to do something, and you try generally to help because we do help on a regular basis. Another thing is this medical emergency. Like, if someone would call me about my mom, hey, Mr. Sucholbiak, your mom had an accident. We know that you are first person in contact for emergency cases, but before we'll provide you more data, we need to verify your identity. So they'll ask me about my mother's maiden name, my social security ID, about my phone number. And that happens to be exactly the same set of questions my bank would ask me about unlocking my bank account. Strange coincidence. All right, we have another small video about this crying baby that's actually, oh, come on. All right, so this is during the DEF CON, and Jessica Clark is showcasing this social engineering on the guy, and she's actually calling the telecommunication provider.
Like it's calling from you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me okay? My baby, I'm sorry. my husband's like, we're about to apply for a loan and we just had a baby and he's like, get this done by today. So I'm so sorry. I can't call you back. I'm trying to log into our account for uses information and I can't remember what email address we used to log the account. The baby's crying and can you help me? Awesome.
In just 30 seconds,
Gmail.com?
Jessica gets my personal email address.
Now, if I needed to add our older daughter on our account so she could call in and make changes, how would I need to go about doing that? You would have to send me a secure PIN through a text message? Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't think I'll be able to receive a text message if I'm on the phone. Shh. Oh, I'm not on there either? So I thought when we got married, he added me to the account. Okay, my
Jessica uses my girlfriend's name and a fake social security number
5127.
to set up her own personal access to my account.
Wait, I'm sorry. So there's
Yeah, and it's super funny to see how even she is reacting to her own acting skills. Like she's still doing the gesticulation. She still uses everything. That like there's a full immersion, right? On this video, it wasn't shown, but in some cases, people practicing this technique actually use the puppet to hold the kid. And then with enough weight, it's actually seemingly real. So it's super crazy what people will do to get our accounts. Actually, very interesting thing is that at certain point she said that she would be able to make this guy homeless in US. There's a very strange system there. So another weakness is our greed, fear of missing out, high ego that I'm invincible and I could basically get all of the freebies from the conference easily. And then I'm aware that for 50% off, I need to sell some of my data. But at a certain point, I'm losing control how much I'm selling out. Also, the very nice scam is that, Mr. Dear CFO, I've prepared the whole list for entire company with the yearly bonuses. Please review it and get back to me if everything is fine. And that we happen to send to regular Joe. And what we did, I'll just casually hit enter and that opens, right? I shouldn't be, but I'll need to check and I'll report, right? And then what we are saying is that, there's an Excel spreadsheet, but in order to view the details, you actually need to enable macros. And then when you enable the macros, they type, okay, but you need to provide a password. Then the guy is providing some fake password, hits enter. Oh, it's wrong password. Oh, okay. No one really actually reports the issue that they couldn't log into the spreadsheet that they're not supposed to get, right? So everything stays very low. No one is complaining about anything. And the guy is not actually advertising to his fellow colleagues in the company that he got access to a document that he shouldn't be, right? Another thing is the photos from the last party. Like when we are logging into the cloud storage provider, and we would like to see the pictures. And of course, this is the fake website that someone is providing you. You're logging in. You need to authorize with second factor, you're adding new device, etc. You log out, and at a certain point you start seeing different things that are going on. One other weakness is, actually I'm not sure how to call it. It's just there are certain things about human beings that I'm just wondering. I really hope that someone was making a great joke about it. But on the other hand, I've worked with enough people to start understanding that this might be a true thing. All right. So about weaknesses. So can you tell me what's wrong with this, the first link? Okay, corn. What else? Yes, exactly. You're good at it. So what's about the second? Yeah, it could be any link, and it could be none of the links. It's actually a text that is colored blue with underline. It's not leading anywhere, but we have this, like during the keynote, we had this cognitive offload. We just follow the patterns, right? If there's something that, like in those two links, the first one is like bright blue, and the second one is slightly darker, falling to purple. Oh, I must have visited that link already. Another thing is that we are not necessarily technical savvy. There's always some technical aspect of us that we could fail easily. So can you tell me where this links leads to? Is it the example? Is it the ABC? Or is it the Facebook?
Could be anything.
Actually, it is a very specific page. But if you look at exactly at the end, the Facebook, it's actually in a hex. and it's actually the IP address decoded in hex. Just happened to be that I was able to come up with some hex numbers that apparently are only used with the letters and the zeros. And if someone is not technical, they could follow it. Oh, it's a Facebook link, right? So also with the QR codes. So the QR codes that actually used in the presentations were not dangerous. But let me just see if anyone followed the trap. Oh, actually, one person did. Okay, that's cool. It's actually very ensuring. I prepared the setup for it, hoping no one will ever be caught. We got one person. It's not something that it's like super dangerous, but then how many times you've opened the link and before you reacted, there was PTF being downloaded. It's too many things going too fast at the same time. Okay, but that's it about the attacking, but how we could set up the defense for it. There are no easy measures, but from what I've known, the best one is to educate ourselves. So if you become up to date with all the things that are going on, like with this Brahma scheme that was happening, and just to give you an example, I personally got attacked, or at least there was an attempt. Someone from family was reaching out to me, hey, that was basically set up in Poland, and in Poland we have the BLIK system for the instant payments. You can go to ATM, provided the ID from the application, and the ATM would give you money. So this person asked me, hey, Pawel, my car has crashed. I'm here in that city next to where you lived. Could you help me out with the BLIK code? And the thing is that I totally panicked because I immediately understood, oh, there's a scheme. I mean, the person I was talking to, I knew that person very well. It could be totally plausible, but it fit perfectly into the brackets of an attack. If my mom would do the same, I would totally ghosted her. Sorry, mom, but that's reality. One other thing that is very important for us is the risk assessment. Because every security measure is actually coming with some sort of inefficiency. Let's put it straight. If we put more security measures, the whole flow becomes a bit harder to follow. There are additional steps, we need to be compliant. And generally, if people are not understanding the risk, they're falling into the trap. Oh, it's like, come on, really, another authentication method? It's pointless. At least that's what they seem. So what I tend to like to do is I like to list important people in my life and also things that impact my life. Is my phone impacting my life? Yes. My wallet? Yes, still. What are the people that I'm contacting that are important in my life? And then I'll try to come up how many means of communication I have with those people. And in most cases, I could then try to imagine what happens if I lose my phone, if someone makes my phone shatter on the floor. Can I get back to my plane? Can I go back to Zurich? Can I actually buy myself a meal? Would they be willing me to board the plane without my ID, right? And then every such situation is actually putting us in the risk because we are stressing out. We are not thinking logically, we think to survive. And people are exploiting those cases. And on top of it, try to think out of the box, out of the real scenarios. Like what would happen if the same situation would happen abroad, at your home country and your home city? Can you reach your home by foot? That's fine, right? You don't need any transportation? Cool, one risk less. But then imagine that you are in a foreign country where you don't know the language, you don't know any means to contact anyone, and everyone that basically you're trying to approach is making a photo of you because you look funny. So I'm trying to plan for the worst. Like with people, as I mentioned, I would like to prepare and check communication channels. Like, can I call my family? Can I text them? Can I use some other means? Can I even send them like a physical letter? Can I go there and just knock on their door? And just figuring out what would happen if something falls apart. Also with important things, I tend to double up the things if it's possible. Second bank account, yeah, why not? Second credit card. The credit card, when it got blocked, I just, another one, right? There is not much on us to have multiple credit cards, and with it, or having this idea that, oh, I don't really need to react. Actually, I called the credit card provider 1 month later. Because then I actually, it's a bit inconvenient to switch the cards in the wallet. So then I contacted them and they said, actually, there was an attempt and some terminal charged me twice. And they blocked this card from then on. So that was actually a legitimate case. But then I totally ignored it. I was in a place where I could ignore it. The same goes with the bank accounts. If one bank account is frozen due to, for example, the police investigation on the fraud, that you were not really involved, but you were affected by, sure, I have another account I could live off. I will then just call my company and tell them, hey, I need to have my salary into a different account. And that opens another box of worms. Another thing is to be about the hardening. So we actually need to make sure that whatever we use is actually as secure as possible, and it's as convenient as possible. And also what I also try to do is to plan those emergencies. So even though I'm not intended to lose my phone, I more or less know what kind of steps I would make when I lose my phone. There was also a very nice scheme where people got attacked at ATM. The purse or the backpack was stolen with the phone inside, and basically a robber was running away. And there was some magical helper that was approaching a lady or a man. Hey, I saw you that your backpack was stolen. Have you had the card in it? Yeah? Okay, let's block it first. Here's the phone with the number already dialed in. Just provide your data and they will lock your account. And then apparently 10 minutes later, there is a kid with your backpack or with the wallet. Hey, someone actually dropped it in the garbage bin. I saw the whole action. I just was wondering what the heck is there going on. So here's the thing. You've checked, everything is there, even money is there, keys to apartment, yeah, cool, everything. And then you tend to forget about it. And in 6 months, you're actually buying a house and you're trying to get a mortgage. The bank is actually requiring you to pay some money for the mortgage, for the initial part, and you just, you have a bit spare cash on your account. Next day, it's gone. And you have no clue what happened, right? So technical hardening, of course, software update, second factor authentication, multiple factor authentication actually can be tricky, especially if you have multiple ways. Meaning why I need a second software if actually when logging into the service someone might click, oh, I don't have access to my phone, or I have a spare phone, please send me a text message. So on top of it, please disable the second factor authentication that it's less secure than you have already, right? And if you use the hardware keys, please make sure that you have at least 2, and you have the one in secure different location. Also with password managers, that's I hope that's obvious. Also, please control your privacy settings, and please control what you are publishing, what you are sharing. I'm not saying that you should become like a digital hermit that cuts out from the social media, but please be aware what you're publishing and how this information could be used against you, right? So at the end, please educate yourself, please keep everything up to date, prepare for the worst, harden yourself, and on top, be a bit paranoid. It always helps. Thanks a lot, guys.